Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, the host of We Need to Talk with Chris Godinez. That's me. So this video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in Therapy Your City, Psychology Today will pop up, click on that, and it will have all of the therapists in your area. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Did I say that? Yes. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay. Hi from Alaska. Dear God, that sounds cold. Sorry. Hey, Cheryl. Okay. So to get some stuff out of the way, I am doing a book signing for You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but you can't make him do the cha-cha on March 23rd at Changing Hands Bookstore in Tempe, Arizona. I will be doing a lecture ahead of time. I will be talking a little bit about the book. I'll be talking about why some people stay in abuse and others don't. I'll be answering questions. That's the most important thing. So I would love you guys to, Atlanta, yes! And I'm going to be coming there. I would love you guys to show up. You don't have to buy a book if you don't want to, but come on down, say hi, ask your questions, because I can guarantee, guys, if you've got questions, there's probably 10 other people that are too afraid to ask. So feel free to come to Changing Hands in Tempe, 7 p.m. on March 23rd, 7 p.m. to 8:30, although we probably will go a little bit longer because I did the last time I did a book signing there. It's pretty nippy in the UK too. Yeah, I think I'll be visiting the UK in the summertime. That would be, because I don't do cold well. So anyway, March 23rd, Changing Hands Bookstore in Tempe, Arizona. I have an invite out that's public. March 23rd, 7 p.m., Changing Hands Bookstore. I'll be doing a lecture and answering questions and all of that sort of good stuff. Come say hi, come ask your questions, all that sort of good things. Okay, so today's question. Chris, are you going to be doing both your books in audio? Yes, I am. So I just finished my first book on audio, What's Wrong with Your Dad? Hold on, I have it right here, which I usually don't when I do my other stuff. But okay, What's Wrong with Your Dad is still available on print on demand, as is this one also. If you have not bought your book, wait until you get to the Tempe store. That would be cool. They would love me for that. So they're both going to be available on audio. I just finished the taping for the first book. It's in post process. The other one should be done. I'm supposed to be getting those files back soon so that I can review them and make sure everything sounds good. And then those will be up on Amazon as well, CreateSpace. So there is Sweden. Holy mackerel, that's cold right now. Let's see, am I going to be, yes. So I'm doing both books on audio. Those will be up probably, what's today? Today's February. I'll probably have those up by March is what I'm thinking. So a little bit of a delay getting the processing done. Sweden, cold, burr. New Zealand. Oh, I would love to go to New Zealand. That sounds awesome. Both islands would be so cool. Okay, so it's tentatively April 23rd in Atlanta. So I'm trying to find a place to do a little seminar. I am going to charge for it because I have to pay for the venue. I'm having a hard time doing that. So I will let you guys know as soon as I know where it is. It is tentatively March 23rd. It could be that weekend. I'm going to be in Atlanta for the ACA conference. So I will be flying in that Friday. So it's either going to be that Saturday, that Sunday, or that Monday, because then the rest of the time I'm going to be in the conference. So there is that. So Atlanta sometime around the 21st to 23rd of April. So that's the evil plan. It's 13 degrees in Michigan. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. No, thank you. We're coming to the book signing. Woohoo! Right on. Yay, you're sick of reading. Yeah, audiobooks tend to be easier. So, hello, guys. Wow. Okay. Northern Ontario, Canada. Oh, my God, that sounds cold. Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing the voice and the tone of the author. Loved your Kindle version, read it straight through. Good. I'm glad that helped. Okay. Now, okay. So today is about how to present in court. So, because, oh God, all right, and why are the court systems, why are the family court systems so foobarred? It's the kindest way I can put it. So basically, okay, where do I want to start with this? let's start with how horrible the courts are, first of all. So if you think that you're going to court and you're actually going to get justice, think again. The family courts are filled with narcissists. The judges and occasionally the lawyers, not occasionally, a lot of time the lawyers, are narcissists themselves. So, because remember, people who are narcissistic tend to be attracted to positions of power, and what is more powerful than having a say in somebody's life? Okay, and yeah, lack of education in the courts. So I pulled a whole bunch of stuff from Psychology Today because I love Psychology Today. This one is called Documentary Paints Horrific Picture of Family Court. It is by Paul Raeburn, Raeburn. And this is from the standpoint of parental alienation against dads. Now, parental alienation can happen to moms. Parental alienation can happen to dads. It's, for some reason, it's like the media loves to present it as one or the other. But here's the truth, guys. Women can be abusers too. Men can also be abusers. For some reason in the popular media, it's always presented as the man who's the abuser. It can also be females. So just to let you know that. So when I read this, and if it's got a specific gender to it, just, flip it around to whatever your situation is. If you tell the truth, it's parental alienation. If you don't and something bad happens, it's your fault. Can't win. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so here, I want to read this to you because I thought all of these articles were really good, and I'm going to read them. In many states, marriage is as simple as buying a license and finding a mail-order minister to perform the ceremony. With a simple signature, the knot is tied, and the two newlyweds live happily ever after. Or not. Why shouldn't divorce be just as simple? A couple wanting a divorce would buy a divorce license, get a justice of the peace or minister to sign it, and the divorce would be complete. See, that makes a lot of sense to me. The two might need a lawyer to get a draft of legal agreement regarding finances or custody of children, but they shouldn't need a judge and a courtroom unless they absolutely cannot agree. I totally agree with this. The often staggering cost of courtroom divorces would deter many from ever seeing a judge if they could settle the matter themselves for the cost of a parking ticket. So here's the thing. Abusers will use the divorce as a way to bankrupt the other parent. So that's their game. So that's what you have to know going in. It's like they're not looking for fairness. They're not looking for equality. They're not looking for splitting things down the middle. They're looking for how can they drag this out? Because remember, when you're dealing with an abuser, whether it is a malignant narcissist or a malignant borderline, they are looking for any kind of connection, even if it's a fucked up dysfunctional connection. They would rather have that than no connection at all, because no connection at all is abandonment to them. So they would rather have a contentious ongoing divorce that goes every 2 years, every year, every 6 months, whatever, until the end of time, because at least they're still connected to you. Dysfunctional? Yeah, it is absolutely dysfunctional. And the courts need to catch on to this. This is the thing. It's like, honestly, I'm trying to educate as many lawyers as I can. And the lawyers I have in my BNI group, I've absolutely educated them on this. And they are now aware of malignant narcissists, malignant borderlines, dragging things out, doing things with wills and things like that. I work with a probate attorney as well when, somebody dies and all of a sudden you have the kids just kind of swooping in and they want everything. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, 3 things that show you who people really are: divorces, weddings, and funerals. All right, so the point is driven home in the most graphic and unsettling way in a new documentary called Divorce Court, shown in selective theaters. Okay, well, this was printed a couple of years ago. This was in 2014. The lack of, there is, as noted, its depiction of lawlessness in family courts, the lack of oversight that allows judges to insert themselves in the most personal and arbitrary way into people's lives. Bloggers are jailed for criticizing judges. Lawyers can pursue excessive litigation without any fear of retribution. And with nobody in the courtroom under oath, untrue claims can be wielded like weapons. Watch the trailer and see whether you feel the same sense of outrage. The documentary makes a good case for reforming family courts. So yeah, and the only people that get screwed are the children, basically, is what this guy is saying. So this was by Raeburn, and I totally agree with him. So it's on Psychology Today. It's called "The Documentary Paints Horrific Picture of Family Court." The documentary is called Divorce Corporation. And you can probably find it, just look it up. I'm sure you can find it on the internet somewhere. Okay, so there is that. There is a newer documentary called New Documentary Targets Family Court Abuses, No Way Out But One, features internationally known case of Holly Collins. Okay, hold on. Let me see what people are typing. Hang on. I want to catch up and make sure I'm getting all the questions here. Education is the key. Okay. We have to be separated for 2 years in our country before we can divorce. And whoa, where'd it go? And we do not have anything like spousal support here. We have to stand on our own 2 feet. Okay. It doesn't start with divorce. My mother alienated me from my dad, and they didn't divorce until I was 40. I never had a real conversation with my dad. After the age of 12, I never said anything meatier than please pass the margarine to my dad. Now he's gone. Oh, I'm sorry. The subject today is court. We're talking about courts, family courts, how to present in court, how to deal with an attorney, because a lot of people don't know how to talk to attorneys, etc. There's a great documentary about how Reagan structured the family court system. Pretty disturbing and infuriating. Yeah. Try 4 years separation. Yeah. So, I mean, I have seen abusers drag out the court proceedings 12 years and going. So like however long the judge says until you can come back, they wait until that exact period, and then they go drag their spouse back to court again. And I honestly think that should be made illegal. I think once things are settled, they should be done, and they don't. And it's frustrating. Is it parental alienation if you don't allow the other parent to see their child because they admitted to child molestation? No, it's not, but they will claim it is. We're going to talk about that. So listen to this case. All right. So this too is out of Psychology Today. All I did was type in court in Psychology Today under the, to look up articles. I just put in court, and then I think this was on the second page. All of these were on the second page of articles that they had. So, new documentary targets family court abuses. No Way Out But One features the internationally known case of Holly Collins. The documentary channel is, there's a documentary channel? Shit. Is premiering No Way Out But One. Depicting injustices against abused women and children in the U.S. family courts. Now, again, men can also be abused, so flip this around if it's not your situation. Of potential interest to blog readers, the film critiques the role of child custody evaluations as usurping the authority of fact finders by substituting their own judgments for the facts. And that's a huge thing, because I have seen some of these evaluators not get abuse, especially emotional abuse. So if the kid isn't being neglected, if the kid isn't being physically, bruises and shit like that, they will completely ignore that. Even though the mom or the dad is going, hey, the other partner is doing X, Y, and Z, verbal abuse. The kid's a nervous wreck. The kid doesn't want to go to school. The kid is throwing up before school. The kid doesn't want to go, throwing up before they have to go to the other parent's house, yada, 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 yada. They'll ignore that because they don't get emotional abuse. So brain aneurysm. Okay. All right. Where'd I go? Okay. No Way Out highlights the internationally known case of Holly Collins, who fled with her son Zachary and her daughter Jennifer in 1994 after her husband was granted sole custody by a court in Minnesota. According to the film, the judge ignored blatant evidence of domestic violence, which included a skull fracture for the boy. Okay, that pisses me right the fuck off. After a circuitous flight through Canada and Guatemala, Collins eventually won asylum in the Netherlands. By the time the FBI caught up with the family, the children were adults. In the film, they convincingly described the chronic abuse at the hands of the father. Holly's dynamic daughter, Jennifer, is the inspiration for the film. It is the executive director of Courageous Kids, which empowers children to go public about family court abuse, which I think is phenomenal. And then there's parental alienation, in which one parent, most often the mother, is accused of alienating the children from the other parent. Collins was also labeled with another highly contentious diagnosis of Munchausen by proxy. After she sought medical treatment for her children, who she said were being injured by the father's abuse. Hang on. I just heard something ding. Why did I hear something ding? Hang on. Okay. Okay. And I'm answering questions. Hang on. There's a great documentary. I think we talked about that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm originally from Minnesota. I can attest it is very abuse friendly. Yep. Due to Collins' supposed attempts to alienate the children, the father was granted full custody. So this is what abusers will do: is they will go in and they will use psychology. They will. They know just enough to make it sound convincing. Sound familiar? That's how they lie. Is they use just enough of the truth to make it sound convincing. And you need a good attorney. This is why it drives me crazy when I have men and women come to see me. They're describing emotional abuse, and they're like, "Oh, but I don't want to get an attorney. It's too expensive." Bullshit. You cannot afford not to have an attorney. You must have a goddamn good attorney who understands malignant narcissists, malignant borderlines, and will put an end to their bullshit, because they will drag this out for years if they can. Hold on, not done reading this. Okay. Due to Collins' part, so attempts to, supposedly alienate the children, the father was granted full custody in 1993, and Collins was initially denied even phone or mail contact, even though he's the one that broke the kid's skull. Does anybody else see a problem with this? Eventually, she was granted supervised visitations, but neither she nor the children were allowed to talk about the father's abuse. Does anybody else see a problem with this? Because I sure as hell do. In the film, Collins describes how she and the children secretly exchanged notes by placing them in the refrigerator. In the notes, the children begged for help, and she finally promised to rescue them. This is appalling. Collins became the first American ever granted asylum by the Netherlands. She ultimately married a Dutch man and had 4 more children. After the FBI located her, she returned to the United States in an effort to vindicate herself. Ultimately, the kidnapping charge was dismissed. She pled guilty to 1 count of contempt of court in exchange for a sentence of 40 hours of community service. According to the film, Collins is just one of thousands of mothers and fathers, let's face it, fathers go through this too, forced to go on the run in order to protect their children from abusive husbands or wives who have been granted custody of their children. Ironically, the film's debut on the documentary channel coincides with the publication of a similar story by another woman who is also named Collins. Frances Collins' book, Seashells, this printer, talks about how her run ultimately ended in her arrest and incarceration. The film is stoking up antipathy between the battered women's and fathers' rights camps, with the latter expending significant effort to debunk the claims. Okay, guys, hello. Can we please get it together that there are men and women abusers? Okay, that does not negate the targets of abuse that are male or female. It doesn't. There are men and women abusers. Stop petty fighting. You are playing into their hands by doing this. Stop denying that this stuff is happening. It happens. It happens to men. It happens to women. It happens to everybody. When you're dealing with a malignant narcissist, when you're dealing with a malignant borderline, it happens to both sexes. Knock it the fuck off. Get together. Fucking unite. Let's knock these assholes down, okay? Come on. Jesus Christ. All right. Award-winning filmmaker Garland Weller said that she chose the Holly Collins case because I believe her story would break through the barricade set up by the mainstream press. Yes, absolutely. The film expands on last year's award-winning short Small Justice, produced on a shoestring budget by Weller, a communications professor at Boston University, and her husband Barry Nolan, a TV writer and reporter. Weller went on to say that what most surprised her in her involvement in this project was the dumbfounded reaction of members of the general public. They just can't believe that the family courts would give custody time and time again to abusers. And it shouldn't be a surprise. It's like people turn a blind eye. How many people turned a blind eye to the Catholic abuse that was going on with the priests molesting the kids? A blind eye. Jerry Sandusky, blind eye. You know, recently people are now starting to put their foot down and say no, like with the gymnast thing. But it's Jesus God. All right. Good people turn a blind eye to the abuse of children. It's the same thing in family courts. It's just heartbreaking that so often when terrified children summon the courage to speak up and tell what is happening to them, even though the abuser has warned them of the terrible consequences if they ever talk, even though we teach children to speak up and tell the truth, when they speak up against this one awful thing, we just don't listen. Listen to your children. God, that just freaking pisses me off. So, that one. All right, now, next one. Divorce courts and the very difficult ex-spouse. A lot of you are going to recognize this. Okay, this too I found in Psychology Today. Okay, and my stupid printer is doing something stupid. Oh, okay, so this little thing part blanked out, but I know what they are saying in there. Had to have custody exchange done at the police station, and yet after my ex attacked me screaming and yelling like a madman in front of our children, the judge looked me right in the eye and said, I'm going to sign the restraining order, but frankly, these things happen. I'm sorry, what? Just because these things happen does not mean we should treat them as anything other than outrageous. And there was no confusion about what went down because I had a videotape of it all on my phone. After nearly 2 years and over $100,000 in attorney's fees, we could not get my ex to agree to anything. The court ordered custody, the evaluator, the business evaluator, the real estate appraiser, all chosen by him, I agreed to. When the reports came back, he took issue with every single one. Then all of a sudden, there was a sense of urgency. His attorney emailed my attorney Friday after 5 p.m., Saturday, and then Sunday. Sunday with a notice of going in ex parte Monday morning. He wanted to end the marriage. Now, why? Why after all this time? Well, he got the woman he was with pregnant. New distraction. The comments above were posted by a reader in response to our Psychology Today's piece called Violence in Divorce. I would like to comment on it because unfortunately it sadly rings true. Violence comes in many forms and at its core is a loss of control. The perpetrator wants to assert control when he has lost it, he or she has lost